Over the last several weeks, we've had a lot of people come on that are legacy real estate professionals, and this conversation is no different. In this conversation, we talk about the standard in which Miss Kay Morse was able to set herself apart as an agent and a broker, and how Miss Candy, Miss Mel, and Kate are able to carry that torch forward. And it's a great conversation and a story about a family who came up in this community and established themselves as one of the premier real estate teams in the area. So if you're interested in hear more about that conversation, check out the conversation with me, Miss Mel, Miss Candy, and Kate. All right, well, welcome to the show. We have the Morse team from McHenry here today, and really excited to hang
Beautiful
out with you guys.
ladies. We got a whole crew.
Yeah,
That's right.
I mean, 5's a crowd for
this
sure.
is definitely a crowd, and I am outnumbered in this.
You are.
Yes, you are.
Tread lightly.
I'm okay with that, though. I'm used to having all the girls in my house, so it's all good. So it's really fun to talk with you guys because we spend a lot of time together outside of the real estate world and inside the real estate business. Me and Kate have kids about the same age. Miss Mel was my retreat leader at a retreat that I went on from church, and then I see Miss Candy at church all the time too. So It's great to spend time with you guys today. So this first segment, we always like to have the audience get to know you guys a little better, and I want them to know like who you are and kind of how you all came together, because y'all's family's been in real estate for a long time. And it's funny because most people say I'm a Northshore agent, but like I feel like y'all really got established in Covington, and y'all spend probably the majority of your time in Covington. Is that right?
True.
Yeah. That's right. But Miss Mel, you've done a lot of things in your life before real estate, right? And then Kate was obviously the daughter of Miss Mel coming in, right?
Yep.
Miss Mel coming in and doing real estate. So let's talk about y'all's family and how y'all's history as real estate professionals in St. Tammany.
So I guess it really starts with our mom, Kay Morse, who was in business. I think she received her license in the early 80s. But before that, she was a entrepreneur in Covington. She and her mother had a retail store. And so she was always in sales, entrepreneur, and actually did a little development. So her mother and our dad and her mom helped her also develop Riverbend Lane. So that's at the foot of 10th and New Hampshire. So there was always a little bit of real estate behind the sales, and I guess it just kind of made it perfect when she decided to go ahead and get a real estate license. Yeah. She needed to work, and it was like the best thing she knew, and when she got in it, she just did amazing.
How old was she when
Such
she
a
started
cool
real
story.
estate?
Oh, goodness. Do you remember how old she was?
Yes, I think
50s?
she was in her 50s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is like a second career for
Oh,
her.
yeah.
totally.
definitely.
Totally
But a
second
career woman. I mean, what an awesome legacy, right?
A very much
So
of a...
important.
Iconic
Yeah.
in many ways.
Yeah, at that time, absolutely.
Yes. So it started with her, and then she grew a business like from the ground up, and then basically it's like her daughters one by one started following in her footsteps with second careers. So it started with our sister Lisby first, and then I came in the business, and then after that, my sister-in-law Priscilla Morse came in the business, and then it ended up after Katrina, it was Mom and I ourselves. And then that's when Melody stepped in not too long after that.
After Katrina?
No, about 10 years ago.
Okay.
About 10 years ago. And then now we're on our third generation, which is so awesome.
Yeah.
So that's a real brief overview of kind of how we got started. What's the second career for every one of us?
Sure. What were you doing before?
I was in sales for decorative paint, head of sales, and it took me all over the world. So I went to Australia, New Zealand, Canada.
Cool.
And at the end of 2020, Mom and Candy called me, and they're like, "We want you to quit your job with your benefits and your insurance and come join our team." And I was like, "What?" And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, my grandmother Kay always said, "What an amazing career when you have a family." And we were thinking about a family at the time, and I loved the idea of, number one, working with my mom and aunt, but also being able to work hard and see the benefits of that and the flexibility of it. And so I started studying, and beginning of 2021, I got my license and joined the team, quit my job of almost 8 years as head of sales.
Yeah.
So.
And your son pretty much was born and immediately crawled into
Born at the office.
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much. Yeah.
Yes.
Does he still hang out at the office? He's at school now.
He's in school now, but when he's out of school, he comes to the office and put a little bluey on to help distract him. But that's the beauty of it. I mean, Candy raised her second daughter in the office with my grandmother, and I'm so thankful and blessed that they embrace my kids. I mean, you can't do that everywhere you go.
yeah.
Physically and emotionally.
Yeah. Yes. So I say they have Candy's their third grandmother, which is amazing. But
Sugar.
yes,
Her
they
name
come
is
Sugar and Goody, and yes, so my son Ford came with us up until about 2 years old, and then now my 4.5-month-old. We're slowly making it back to the office, so he comes
Yeah.
too, and it's great.
That's awesome. And Miss Mel, you had a interesting first career too, right? You were you were a teacher, an administrator, right?
Yes, but that was probably my third career.
All right. Get the popcorn.
Here we go. You know, what I wanted to do more than anything was be a stay-at-home mom, which I had a blessing to be able to do that. So we had 2 families. The first 3 came along, and I taught at little school. Candy taught at little school. I did teach in the public school a little bit, but soon as I started having children, my heart was at home. So I spent a lot of time at home. Then I ended up volunteering at our church, St. Peter's, and that volunteer job turned into a 20-hour-a-week job working for Father Bill McGuff, who passed away recently. So all in all, between when I started and ended, I spent 17 years at St. Peter's. The end of those 17 years was as principal of the school, and that in a nutshell was that we had 2 late-in-life babies. They were about to start school, and I kept watching it and thinking, I want to get in there, just make some things happen. So I was qualified on paper and had a real desire in my heart, did a lot of praying, and applied and got it. So I was only there 3 years because I was the change agent more than anything else for the school. And I knew that going in that there was a really good possibility that this would not be a long-term career. So in 2013, when I retired after 3 years, I kept thinking, what did I love the most about being principal? And it was helping people, solving problems, talking to people, helping people who can't solve problems on any other level. So I had this great idea to get my counselor's license, which I did. And then that got me to the RE/MAX office because my mom owned the office, had a little room in the back with a separate entrance. And I would sit in that room and wait for my clients.
Oh, wow. You were operating out of the building.
Out of the building, yes. I was no way going to be a realtor.
Yeah.
No way.
She said it many times.
Yes.
You're like, ha ha.
No
Joke's on
way.
you.
And as I was waiting for clients, I'd walk up and Candy and Mom would be in the office. And our precious, wonderful mom at this age is how old? Like 80.
Yes.
Almost in her 80s.
Probably 80-ish.
And she is playing solitaire, eating her Cheetos behind her desk. And Candy is pulling her hair out. And I would sit and watch them. And about that time, my husband said to me, you know that little business that you've started? Well, I've watched it, and it is costing us money every month for you to run your business.
It is now a hobby.
Yes, it is not a hobby. And yet I just didn't have the heart to be profitable. Let's just say that. So one day I asked Candy, I was like, do you want any help? And she said, yeah, I would love some help. And that was the beginning of the most incredible journey that has us here today.
Yeah.
Crazy.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, Candy, from the outside, were you molding and pushing this scenario along exactly as well?
No, when I tell you, I think they had to peel me off the floor when she asked if she said, if I got my license, would you want me to come help you? Or do you want me to become part of your team? She was almost like, this is not, I don't want to interfere, but if you feel like you need help. And I was like, oh, wow, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say yes in a New York second for that, so it was definitely the very perfect thing to do.
Yeah.
Really
It's a
was.
blessing. So
Yeah.
what are
Yes.
y'all's personality? Are y'all like complementary personalities? Are y'all a lot alike?
That's such a loaded question.
It is.
such
We
a great
say
question.
this often that the DNA is strong. I mean, Melody says this all the time that Kate and I have more of a similar personality. Now we all have very strong DNA shared. However, our personalities are different.
Yeah.
Melody can handle things so much better. Her gifts and talents in ways are so much better than mine, and vice versa. And Kate, we all have something unique that is very special and important to make the whole work as it does.
Isn't it awesome whenever it works that way too? When y'all can all compliment each other really well. How does it help y'all service your clients whenever y'all are able to help in different ways and add value in different ways?
It's like 3 for 1.
Yeah.
They get the same standard, the same care, the same professionalism, no matter who it is. It's pretty crazy. I actually was having a conversation this weekend about that with friends, and I said, I'm not sure what the magic is between us because we spend a lot of time together. Candy and I are neighbors. We walk in the morning very early. Then we show up at work. Kate's with us all day. And then at the end of the day, we go home for a little while. And towards the end of the week, it'll be like, you want a glass of wine? and we're back together. And it's like we hadn't spent the day together. We're not sick of each other. And I think that's magical. And I can't explain it, except I think it's a lot of we understand each other. Certainly understand Kate as my daughter. Probably a lot better than she understands her mom.
But to add to that, though, I think that because we work so well together, when we're working with clients, it's pretty seamless. If one of us needs to step in or if one of us is out of town, because we're together all the time, we're constantly talking. And we're talking about what's happening in the transaction, what's going on with our clients, what's coming up. And so it's very seamless, I would say.
Everybody's in tune.
Everybody's in tune with what's going on. So, our clients know that if they can't reach me, they can reach Mel or Candy and, vice versa. And we'll all kind of know what's going on and be able to step in.
Yeah. So there's a lot of real estate teams in town, and that's kind of like where the real estate industry is going, where there's the team mentality. But I've seen the bigger teams with 30 agents on the team. I've seen the team that's got the 3 agents and a transaction coordinator. Like, what does the dynamic of a team provide to y'all's clients that y'all wouldn't be able to do individually? And what does it do for the fact that there's 3 of you that are working together as opposed to having 30 people to corral?
Just from a newer agent, in the industry going on 5 years, having them and having a team dynamic, just their knowledge, for me, I try to be like a sponge, especially Candy has her broker license as well, has been in the industry for a very long time. Just learning every day. About, real estate's different every single day. And something new pops up and you're like, okay, what do I do here? So having that knowledge. Exactly.
Same thing.
And like, even with my mom, like Candy said earlier, she just has such a gift of talking to people and, just being able to listen to that. Like when we're all together sitting in the office and just listening. Yeah. It really, for me personally, being on a team that's smaller, I'm gaining a lot of knowledge and experience through that, which is great.
And maybe to add to that, a lot of smaller teams or bigger teams divide and conquer. You have a buyer's agent, you have someone who does works with a transaction coordinator, just the listing side. We purposefully chose not to go that route because sometimes it fragments your team. And what we never ever want to put out there to our clients or customers or whoever is that, well, if you're buying a house, you have to work with Candy. Yeah. I'd probably be the buyer's agent. You'd definitely be the listing agent because it's harder. But, we love to love our people together. And so that is a very simplified way of saying it would make us sad. If I didn't know everything that Candy was dealing with, I was gone over the weekend. And so a lot of today is catch up. Like, well, tell me, I know fully what happened when I wasn't there. And when Candy leaves this weekend, I will be able to pick up that ball because I know every detail. Yeah. Whereas I think with different roles, you lose some of that. Yeah. So we tell our people, it's like you get 3 minds, you get 3 thoughts for
price of one.
Yes.
Yeah, price of one.
And you got a good tiebreaker.
Yeah. Right. Yes. A big part of that too is understanding that we do, like as Kate mentioned, we work very much in tandem. And I feel like as to be the best realtor you can be, you kind of need to know both sides.
Yeah.
You need to understand how it is to work with a buyer, and you need to understand how it is to work with the seller to be a really effective agent. And so when you are taking both of those roles at the same time, I'm not talking about dual agency, but just working with buyers and working with sellers, then it just makes sense.
Yeah. What about the relationships that y'all are able to foster too? Because I can imagine that, being around for a long time, there are generations that y'all are able to impact because of the fact that you might have worked with a parent and then Kate gets to come in and work with a kid. I'm sure that also adds to the dynamic too, right?
Happens
Y'all
all the
laugh.
time.
Yeah,
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that today, that yes, Kate is working on a lot of the generational, second generation, her peers and stuff. And then I actually was having a conversation with a client yesterday who I'm helping her son. And she said something about, how neat it is that you worked with us. Now you're helping my son. It's that is so incredibly, it's such a big gift. It's hard to put into words what that means, that they trust you enough and have worked with you enough to know that they're letting you take care of their kids and their huge financial decisions. It's just a big deal. So we love that. And we've been very fortunate to have a lot of that, repeat generational business.
Yeah. We talk about it all the time. Business succession planning is something that most businesses don't do very well, and real estate agents really are notoriously
Bad. Bad. Call it like it is.
Yeah.
Really bad at it. You work at something for 30 years, and then when you're ready to retire, you have nothing to provide because you haven't built processes, you haven't transitioned relationships. You literally have nothing for all that hard work. Sad.
Yeah.
So true.
And
So I
y'all
love
have-
seeing this.
You have a built-in succession plan with family coming in and be able to take the business over. Not only do you don't have to prove to that person that Kate's competent. They know that she is based on y'all's reputation, and the values align because of the fact they've seen y'all go through the same church community and school community and neighborhood and just the community in general. So they know what they're getting when it happens. So I think that's going to be great. Y'all are going to have a leg up going into the
It
next phase.
keeps the retirees active longer as well, I feel like. When you have someone in place and you're transitioning, you can work as long as you like. Like, I don't know that there's ever,
Right.
People are always like, oh, such and such age and then I can retire. I'm never going to retire. I'm just going to start something new. Like, if you kick me out of this, I'm going to go
Right.
start a nonprofit or something. Like, there's certain personalities
Yeah.
that, like, I don't want to be at rest, right?
yes.
Keep me in motion. And I find that when I'm dealing with, because not only the real estate industry, but I deal with a lot of businesses in that transitioning, when they have somebody that they can rely on, they stay in the business. They show up because they care.
Right.
And I love that. I love that aspect of it. And the legacy side of things, people always look at the legacy of the business within, but you forget about the legacy relationships. Like you said, servicing their family and then their children and even their grandchildren.
Yes.
Like, there's a beauty to the development of the community from that aspect when everybody can stay intact. And I love that about our community.
Yeah, I mean, St. Tammy hadn't changed since y'all started, right?
Not at all.
5 generations here.
Yeah, it's
Isn't
crazy.
that crazy? 5 generations.
I'll always remember this one person walking into my office, like right when I got into the business, and he looked out the window. He was an older man. And he was like, I remember when these were dirt roads out here, and he wasn't that old to remember like when Covington was just a rural town that people vacationed to, right? Because the Coldplay wasn't even there.
That's right.
It's cool. I mean, I obviously wasn't around at that point, but it's cool to know that it wasn't that far. It was closer, more recent than you think.
Yes.
And then seeing other towns in Louisiana that have kind of gone through what we've gone through now, like Lafayette and things like that, knowing the potential that we have to where we can be in the next 10, 15 years is fun for us.
It definitely
getting in
is.
this business for sure.
It's fun for us too. And
Yes.
as a parent, it's fun for us because I always say we've tried to be very gracious about the growth in Western St. Tammany Parish because we go back a long way. And it's been fun to watch. It's been fun to be a part of. But maybe the best part of it is to see that we have a parish that our children can finish school and come back and work
come
here.
back.
Yes.
I mean, that's a grandmother's dream.
For sure. I'm sure.
And look, a mother, I think of those terms all the time. And
Yes.
that's part of like when I'm discerning and praying about what, steps I want to take and get asked to be on this board or that board. Like, absolutely the economic development of our region is hugely impactful to me. Just simply, I was blessed with having access to different businesses, different industries. And, when I went in-house counsel for a global corporation headquartered out of Slidell, people didn't even know that existed there. So, like, if I could just teach people that we do have the resources here. We have incredible people with incredible minds, great businesses, and we continue to develop that. We don't lose our families. Right? You don't lose your children. I have adventurous children there. By all means, are free to go wherever they would like. I'm just going to pull them back because I'm Italian.
Exactly.
I will give them a good old Italian guilt, and they will be right back next to me. But it's hugely important. I don't think people realize how incredible it is that what we've built here, and there's so much more to come.
Well, I can tell you, coming from Alexandria, none of my friends went back there. I mean, a very, very small amount did. But knowing all the people that I went to college with that came back here, it was definitely new to me. Because for me growing up, I'm not going back to Alexandria. I mean, I love my grandmother, but her Italian cooking is not enough to bring me back to Alexandria. But it is great.
Alexandria is about to have a glow up. They're going to get
that's right.
new economic development push out there, so that'll be fun to see.